posted here in the council chambers. If you'd now please join me in rising for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Here.
Laney.
Here.
Merrill.
Here.
Weebles.
Here.
Here. Jackson.
Here.
Clausen.
Here.
File.
Here.
Okay, with that, would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. If no discussion, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Would entertain a motion to approve the full agenda.
So moved, Your Honor. Second.
Motion second. If no discussion, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Okay, that takes us to item number 15 on the regular agenda. Would entertain a motion to consider approval of ordinance number 5644, annexing a tract of land generally located south of Highway 275 and west of South Victory Road. As a note, ordinance number 5644 passed on first reading at the December 2nd council meeting and on second reading at the December 16th council meeting.
Your Honor, I'd move for consideration of approval of ordinance number 5644.
Second.
Motion and second. And short title, please, Brianna.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska to annex to said city a tract of land lying in the northeast quarter of Section 35, the northwest quarter of Section 36, all in Township 24 North, Range 1 west of the 6th PM, Madison County, Nebraska, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and to provide that this ordinance shall be published in pamphlet form.
Thank you. With that, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5644 carries on third reading.
Item 16, look for a motion to consider approval of an agreement with CBRE Incorporated for professional services related to development oversight and business recruitment in the downtown business district, and authorization to expend funding for such services in accordance with the voter-approved economic development plan.
I'll make the motion, Your Honor.
Second. Motion and second. And Andy Colvin, our city administrator, could you give us some background on this, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor and Council. The agreement you have before you is with CBRE Incorporated. It is a firm that handles real estate development analysis, data analysis, transactions. Typically, you'd find a group like this working for a commercial real estate developer. The reason that you're seeing this agreement before you tonight is that with a surge in a lot of interest in development happening downtown, job creation happening downtown, it is a good time for us now, I think, as a community and as a city to get somebody, a professional on board that has expertise in real estate, transactions, leases. It's a very specialized area of expertise that, you know, it's something more unique in that field. So we are contracting, or we'd like to contract with CBRE, who we have had some discussions with and is familiar with some of the projects going on downtown. And you'll see the way the agreement is structured, there's different work orders. And in this particular agreement, you have the first work order that would focus on First and Norfolk Avenue. The property was purchased by the Greater Norfolk Economic Development Foundation, and we'll be going through some planning for redevelopment of that site, job creation, as I had mentioned before. So some of that work will involve some pretty big questions for how's this going to work, are the best interests of the community being looked after as we do this. So we do need to bring in somebody with that background, just as we would for an engineering firm or a law firm specializing in certain areas as well. This is no different than one of those agreements. So staff would would recommend approval of this. We anticipate this first project to be done within 6 months for the review. And again, this is just data analysis and data gathering and providing some of that expertise so that we can go from that point on. Should anything be continued after that point, we would have an amendment or an additional work order. The overall agreement does go until 2022. So we could have as many addendums as we want to with an agreement. So we do propose to pay for this with our voter-approved economic development funds, and we think this is an appropriate use of those for some of that professional consultants and expertise for this project. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions, and staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Andy. Any questions?
Andy, is this a time and expense agreement?
I'm sorry.
Is this a time and expense agreement?
Yes.
Or is there a flat rate? Or?
Yes, there's hourly rates, and then there's just miscellaneous mileage, things like that we would get for invoices, and we'd pay those according to the agreement.
Do you have any idea of what approximate cost this may be?
If I were to estimate the dollar amount I had in my mind to get us through kind of this first part would probably not to exceed $20,000. I think once we would get much past that, we'd want to revisit and see where we are from that point on. So I wouldn't imagine we would go, for sure not go over that amount, at least in this initial stage. Should we need to go past that, I think we would have to sit down and reevaluate and see where we're going with it to make sure that the work's getting done. But for right now, I would anticipate we'd stay with that cap.
Okay.
I know you briefly talked about the benefit, but what, of hiring, or not hiring, but signing a contract with them until 2022. What's the major benefit of this? I mean, they're gonna look at the site plans, they're gonna look at the business development, they're gonna, and tell us, no, you don't want this there, yes, you want this. I mean, I guess I'm kinda.
Sure, no, and that's a good question. The reason that this is so unique is because it's going to be involving a lot of different parties with a lot of different interests that are going to be doing activity there. So they could be exploring TIF financing. We could be exploring, how do we handle, our parking district, joint parking facilities? How are we going to handle square foot leases? How are the businesses that are going to be, if they relocate and they want to locate in this area, what can we be looking at for, lease charges, lease fees? And I think what really drove this is early on there was an interest in saying, can we just bring in a developer to get some stuff done? Well, that's all great, and we want developers to do business in Norfolk, and that's a wonderful thing. But given the nature of this project and our partnership we've had with the Greater Norfolk Economic Development Foundation in the past, I think that we want to continue that partnership and just make sure that our interests as a community are being looked after, so that we are focusing on job creation, we're focusing on workforce and our amenities and our quality of life priorities, and not trying to make a profit for shareholders, if that makes sense, which we want to happen, but we want to help facilitate that as part of the greater picture of what we want to see downtown for the community. And this is very complex work with a lot of intricate, square foot leases, what's the market values, and it's a very specialized area that we're finding that not as a staff and with the foundation as well, just don't have the expertise to do that. So the foundation has taken a big risk and a part in acquiring this. So naturally, we partner with the foundation on a lot of things, so we can help, I think, provide some of that professional consultation and expertise to help facilitate some of those conversations that they're having. So we're all in line together with this. So really, this is to prevent a bad deal. Essentially, we want to make sure there's good deals that are made, and again, the interests of the community are being looked after.
Okay, so then, basically it's like a management team for the foundation, working through the city.
Well,
I'm not,
yes,
essentially.
yes, because the alternative would be somebody would ask the city for money.
Yeah.
Whereas in this sense, we as a city economic development subcommittee, we have control over the money that's being paid, where those funds are being expended.
And we're
so
just,
that would be the difference.
this initial agreement is only for First and Norfolk Avenue.
That is, yes.
And
Right
anything else, if we say we're having parking problems, we need an expert or opinion on parking.
Yep.
Then that'd be something else you'd be looking at.
Yes, we would need to do another work order, a separate one for that one.
But there wouldn't be any overreach into some of the development that's going on downtown now.
No, my goal would be to not have that happen,
Okay.
and to prevent that from happening. So again, That's why, in my opinion, it's a good idea to have this run through the city and the city staff to make sure that, again, our interests as a community are being looked after in the big picture of what's happening on that corner. And so we don't start getting into these other areas with public funds that maybe we shouldn't be getting into. So this is, I think, in my opinion, a good safeguard to make sure that we can, that doesn't happen, and we can make sure that everybody's on the same page.
So Andy, progress reports going forward and discussions on whether this contract would be renewed for another project, would that come in front of planning and development subcommittees or economic development subcommittees? How is that information going to be shared with those committees?
Yes, that would come through first to staff, and we would take a look at that, and then we would take that to the Economic Development Subcommittee and run by you folks, Mr. Merrill, that serve on that committee. And then from that point on, it would go onto a council agenda, either in the form of a consent item or on the regular agenda if that's the wish to do that. So if it has to go outside the scope of what you see here, we would need to go through those chains.
Thank you.
Andy, just real quick, maybe I kind of missed it. When the $20,000 estimated, that's for the 6-month study that they need to do right now, correct?
Yes. I wouldn't think we'd need to go any more past that for sure. I think that's an ample amount. And again, this is just a straight hourly rate, so we're not beholden to pay them even that amount.
But
if
that
we
firm
feel
is
that.
kind of aware that they need to stay within a budget,
Yes.
per se. All right, thank you.
And, again, we are limited on the number of LB 840 funds we have available.
Sure.
So we're trying to make the best use, I think, possible for the remaining dollars that we have.
Thank you.
I believe contract does state with a 30-day notice, regardless of the 2022 30-day notice,
Yes.
we can.
Yes, yep, there's a termination clause.
Okay, good.
And Andy, just to clarify the point, that the entity that we're entering into contract with is not a developer, but is works with other potential developers on sites like this. And I think, again, as you stated, having some professional assistance in navigating this process helps us make sure that we see development there that happens in a way that maximizes community benefit through economic development.
Yes, that's an accurate summary.
Any other questions, council? Okay. Hearing none, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Okay. Item number 17, I would look for a motion to consider ordinance number 5645, granting a franchise to Allo Communications LLC to operate and maintain a cable television system in Norfolk.
Your Honor, I would suggest ordinance number 5645 for consideration.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. And Randy Gates, our city finance officer, could you give us some background on this, please?
Yes. Allo's requested a cable television franchise within the city of Norfolk, and this ordinance grants that requested franchise to operate and maintain a cable television system in Norfolk. Franchise is for an initial 10-year term and automatically extends for another 10 years unless either party gives a 3-year written notice to the other party. They don't want to automatically extend. Allo will pay the city a franchise fee of 5% of gross revenue attributable to its cable television operations in Norfolk. Have requested passage on second and third readings at tonight's council meeting, and representatives from Allo are here tonight to address the council and answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Andy. I believe we have the principals of Allo here joining us tonight. You're welcome to introduce yourselves.
Good afternoon or evening. My name is Brad Moline, B-R-A-D-M-O-L-I-N-E. I'm the president of Allo Communications. If you would like, I can just give a couple minutes on generally what we plan on doing here, and then I'll open it up for questions. Allo's built many markets in Nebraska: Scottsbluff, Gering Alliance, Bridgeport, Ogallala, North Platte, Hastings, Lincoln. We've also built Fort Morgan, Colorado, and are in the process of building Breckenridge, Colorado. And what building means for us is we take fiber to the premise, business, residential, government, in a ubiquitous fashion. So we don't avoid certain areas or target certain areas. Our goal is to build the entire community and build it in a fairly rapid, but most importantly, safe fashion. We use 4 values: to be local, that's number 1. So we'll employ people here. We'll have an office. We'll welcome the community, and we expect our personnel to be part of the community. To be exceptional, that's on how we work with you, with the city, with your citizens, and also to be exceptional with the technology that we deploy. Hassle-free. And then the last one, which I always find interesting in our core values, is to be honest. It's interesting that a telecommunications company has to put honesty as one of their core values, but that is one of ours. Most people will say, okay, what's your pricing and what's your speeds and that? I would direct you to our website, which is allocommunications.com. Compare, you can pull up any of the communities, but mainly Scottsbluff, Gering, Hastings, or North Platte. We would expect the speeds and pricing to be the same. As time goes along, the speeds get faster and faster and faster that people require. So I can't guarantee that they'll be as slow as we have, which are generally a 300 meg symmetric, 300 meg up and down is where we start. Gig is up and down is our high-end product, and then we also have a digital divide product, which is at 20 meg up and down. The digital divide is really targeted at the people who might be having financial challenges or certain segments of the population that just may not need the speed. And so generally the 300 meg up and down is what we focus on. Then we also offer telephone and television services as well. So the process after today would be we'll work very quickly to get all the stakeholders. One of the most important is the city, utilities, to talk about our plan, our paths, all those types of things, as well as NPPD, to make sure we're all on the same board. And then I would anticipate is later in the winter or early spring to get started, and hopefully we would have it done in what I'd call a single year build season. Can't make promises on that, but that would be our goal. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Great, thank you, Brett. Any questions?
Yeah, in item J in the contract, talking about putting drops for public buildings, which I think is great, library and city buildings and all that kind of thing. Is that, so is that wireless service then, or is that just running the cable to here? How does that work?
What that is we, to the building, it's wired, it's all fiber. And then within the building, it'd be however the library would choose to take it, or however the city office would choose to take it from there.
Okay, the reason I asked is I was thinking public parks, like, football field, baseball field, all of our public parks.
Wi-Fi areas.
Yeah, if there's an opportunity to get Wi-Fi to those parts of the city.
Absolutely. Many communities are looking at that as cities become much more smart cities and that. What we would do is we'd work with the city to accommodate such a request. That's an area of the world that's changing very rapidly. What we considered 5 years ago is now rather antiquated, and the cell phone providers have passed. And so we'd love to work with the city to say, what solution are you trying to solve here? Again, we've offered public Wi-Fi locations at football fields and that for schools for, gosh, it's probably 2005. And that's a wonderful use of that solution. But then as you're doing this new development that's so exciting about Norfolk, how do we make that so that it has the best experience for that area?
Sure.
And I can't tell you what that solution would be. I need to hear more what the challenges are for that solution. But that's exactly what we do.
Good. Nice to hear you're open to the.
We love smart city applications and where it's going, because that is what we do. We hopefully future-proof your community with fiber everywhere.
Trying to figure out what I can do with my old bag phone, you know.
I grew up on a farm 18 miles from town, and I think my dad still has his. I don't think he uses it anymore, but I think he still has it.
Right. Well, thank you very much. That's nice to know.
Thanks.
And speaking of that, Brad, can you talk about the origin of your company? It's a Nebraska-based company, small town Nebraska.
Yeah, I started the company in 2003. So we have been around for quite a while. We've been around for 16 years. And originally, I had a couple non-competes, so I moved back to my hometown, which is Imperial, Nebraska, and with the thought process of, I'll let my kids know their grandparents for a little while, and I'm going to start this and the original plan was in the Front Range around Denver. And then I found out what the needs were in Nebraska. So we started in Imperial offering service. Clear back then, it was using the copper from the incumbent telephone company to do DSL and some other things. We always knew we wanted to have our own phone switches and some sort of transport, but really fiber to the home and business just hadn't been developed in a cost-efficient manner yet. And so that's where we started. Our first market was in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, and there were some unique things going on there, and it's turned out terrific. It's fun to look back 15, 16 years on the impacts we've made to some of these communities. But in Scottsbluff, we've helped recruit businesses from California. We've helped save a 400-person business that now employs 1,000 people, or I'm not sure how many they employ right now. I shouldn't say that, but it's that's the fun part, is helping work cooperatively with the city to improve an already great city, and help win business and jobs and quality of life. Work at home is a huge thing that I think throughout Nebraska is an opportunity, and we enable that. There's no excuses.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great point. These days where anybody can do about anything from anywhere, with the right telecommunications infrastructure in place, this is a huge opportunity for Middle America and in Nebraska. And so I'm really excited about this concept, excited about having Allo here. Again, Nebraska-based company that's established this model of building out throughout the entire community, which is pretty rare in your business, as I understand.
It's very rare. And I should point out that in late 2015, the majority of Allo was acquired by Nelnet. Nelnet's also a Nebraska-based company. We were building it and financing it initially out of my back pocket, and then everything I could borrow. And building out this level took a lot more funds. And so we've not only partnered with Nelnet, but then we also partnered with the community to raise funds in the community, not the municipal side, but just some of the potential investors in the community.
And by doing this, building out the entire community, making fiber accessible to everyone, I think we join just a handful of cities in Nebraska that you mentioned, but also in the Midwest. I mean, this doesn't happen everywhere, so it's a rare opportunity. Again, very excited about it, and I think Norfolkans will very much enjoy having an option in the marketplace to bring fiber to the home. And I think you use some local contractors too.
Yes, Bauer is Bauer Underground is our primary contractor that we use throughout our network, and we've just had a great relationship with Stu and his team over time. So it's kind of exciting. Norfolk's been on our list for quite some time, largely because of the success and opportunity up here, but also because it's Bauer Underground's backyard, and that's very important to us.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Again, a huge economic development and quality of life opportunity, and we're excited to be on the beginning steps of making this process go forward. It's not a simple process, as we know. We've been building up to this for some time, but it's exciting to take that first step.
Yeah, it's with the franchise agreement, then, and like I said, a few other meetings, we really look forward to doing some great things here, and this is a great community. So often people say, oh, well, you're going in to make this a great community. No, our goal is to take a great community and just make it that much better.
Very good. Thank you.
And I should also say thank you, Mayor. Thank you, the city administration. They've been incredibly welcoming and incredibly responsive with all our questions. We don't get that everywhere, so thank you very much.
Good to hear. Thank you. All right. Any other discussion, council comments?
I just had a question for Randy. I'm sure that's pretty standard contract that we have with the other cable providers too, is it not?
Yes, we have non-exclusive franchise contracts with Cable One and PBN.
And just my question on the 5%, that's, and it always says cable television, but that includes all the services? The internet, the telephone,
Yeah, this
Everything.
agreement is specifically for the cable TV
just for the
portion of it.
television portion? of it?
But the fiber that they're gonna be delivering the cable TV over will also provide internet service and TV and all of that, but this particular agreement just relates to the cable TV portion.
All right, thank
All
you.
of the others come along with it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, short title, please.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, granting a franchise to Allo Communications LLC, a Nebraska limited liability company, to operate and maintain a cable television system in the City of Norfolk, setting forth conditions accompanying the granting of the franchise, providing for city regulation and use of the cable television system, providing for the payment of franchise fees, providing penalty for the violation of the ordinance provisions, providing a repealer, and providing for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5645 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I'd move that we suspend the rules and pass this ordinance on second and third reading.
Second?
Motion and second to suspend the rules and approve on second and third readings. If no further discussion, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5645 carries on second and third.
And that concludes this meeting of the Norfolk City Council. We are adjourned.